Welcome, welcome. I am going to make sure that I am muted on my computer. Welcome to the live stream. I'm going to actually be painting this evening. So if you're into watching me paint or you've watched my journey, please stick around for the next little bit or pop in and out. This is going to be really casual and really, I'm just trying this out. As you can tell, I'm looking down at you from my computer. I'm going to hook up my phone so it'll be a different view for y'all as we go. But I'm going to, for those of you who may just have seen the notification and popped in, I think back in April when the quarantine was really setting in, I jumped into painting in acrylics. I've not done any painting before this. Well, when I was a kid, maybe 30 years ago. Once or twice I painted in a lesson type environment, but I just wanted to do something creative that was that I didn't have to be perfect at. And so I started painting, teaching myself how to paint using YouTube tutorials. I'm finally to a place where I'm still using tutorials, but I'm wanting to branch out and paint things, original paintings. And so I've been using some different photos I've taken over the last year or so, different places I've been. A couple I did in the Black Hills, some around here in Central Arkansas, and then tonight I'll let you guys pick what you want me to paint. I have a couple of different pictures I took recently and wanted to get your opinion. So that's kind of what we're doing tonight. I am going to jump onto Instagram and post that I'm live here so that people can jump on and say hey. But feel free, I want this to be interactive. So as we go, feel free to say hello or to comment. And I should be able to see, let me pull up, I should be able to see your comments. Um, Hey there, hey there. I am painting. Sorry, I just saw your question, KRC. I am going to let you guys choose. So, in just a second, I'll pop up a couple of photos on the screen for you all to choose a couple different subjects, and then we can go from there. Let me jump onto Instagram real quick and post that I'm here, and then I'll change. I'm testing out this completely as a with the hey there, Braden. Thanks for popping on to check out my painting adventures. Okay, let me find this. Oh, I am not good, y'all, at doing two or three things at once. If you can't tell, they say it's a. I am not good, y'all, at doing two or three things at once. Like hearing, let me grab this link from YouTube, copy to Instagram. Anyway, how's y'all's week going or weekend? Here in Central Arkansas, I don't know where everybody is. Braden, obviously, I know where you are, but I it's been beautiful weather. We finally have fall. The temps are starting to drop, which is amazing because it's been so hot this summer. Although it's really funny because my parents live up in the mountains and they already had 10 inches of snow a couple weeks ago. Then it went back up into the 80s, but kind of bizarre. Let's see. I'm testing something. I'm posting a post on Instagram that says, if you see this, I'm live on YouTube right now. Come and say hi. So I'm gonna post that with the link in comments. That way, the people because I will often post on Instagram that my painting once I'm done, typically. But I thought I would live stream because typically I had done the this painting and then edited the videos, but they were taking like so long to edit. And now that school's in session, I'm a teacher in my day job, and now that school's in session, it wasn't working to be able to be consistent. So I'm going to test out this opportunity, or this chance to not opportunity, but the live streaming, to see if that is easier or if it works better. So let me post this to my story real quick. All right. So that, and I'll leave that on Instagram while I'm live here, and people can pop in and say hi. So I know the Twitter comments are working and the YouTube comments are working. Let me jump over to, I've had problems with the software I use to live stream on Facebook. Yeah. Hey, Mrs. Kelso, Miranda, Sky. For some reason, my comments on Facebook are not coming through my software. So if y'all are still on. All right, let's jump in. I'm going to then switch my phone over so that I can actually show you my painting area. Let me turn on that app. All right. There we go. Okay. So I'm going to go out of frame, y'all, for just a second. Plug in my phone. I figured out that I can use my phone as a camera feed for my broadcast software. All right, let me go back to my broadcast software. So then I can show y'all where I'm painting. Cool. We're having to do this on the cheap because I don't have money to buy multiple cameras and multiple angles, at least right now. So this is the deal. All right. I think it's working. Okay, so now we're to the fun part. Welcome, everybody. Thanks for popping in. Again, feel free to say hello. I am excited to have you all here. Nebraska. This is so cool. Yeah, Miranda, hey, it's good to see you. It's been, what, like almost 10 years? Bob Ross would be happy. Okay, so y'all, this is kind of crazy. I'll dip in here so you can. So there's this guy on YouTube named Kevin Hill. If you're at all interested in painting, you need to go at least check out his channel. He is a young guy with a buzz cut, like not Bob Ross at all, but you will be shocked how much he is like Bob Ross. Like, his voice is really soft and soothing. And he's like, hi, my name's Kevin Hill. Today we're going to paint a nice scene, la 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 la. And then he's like, oh, and he talks to the camera just, in my mind, just like Bob Ross. It's hilarious. So definitely check out Kevin Hill on YouTube. He's an amazing painter. Like, I really respect him a lot, and actually have used a lot of his tutorials. Okay, y'all. So let me turn on I have a couple of subjects that I want you to choose from for me to paint tonight. I have some cairns that I took down by the river here in Little Rock. I went down to the Arkansas River, and there somebody had built some rock cairns. There are those towers. I think that's how it's pronounced. But those towers of stones stacked up, and then a waterfall. So let me put up on the screen. So here are some of the cairns. And if anybody knows if I'm pronouncing that wrong, let me know. Okay. Where's the other one? Oh, it is on top. Okay, so these are the cairns. And if I were to paint this, it would be primarily to practice the shading of the stones and using multiple colors in one palette and getting different tones of the colors. It's very difficult to do, but it's something that I think is important. So that's choice number one. Choice number two is waterfalls. I don't know if I can get these all on the screen. So Okay, we know what cairns look like, so let me mute one of these and move. So cairns or waterfall. This is Spearfish Falls in the Black Hills of South Dakota. Beautiful, beautiful area, and I think is a great subject for painting. Would be difficult as well. So those are the choices: the cairns along the river or the waterfalls. The waterfalls. So drop comments in your vote for in the comments. What do you think? What do you all think? Should we do the waterfall or the cairns? I'm gonna turn this for now. You guys can't see me anyway. What do y'all think? For those of you just joining, welcome, welcome. This is my first attempt at live streaming painting. If you've been following my journey, learning to paint using YouTube tutorials only. I have no painting, no training, no art training, but it's amazing what you can find on YouTube. So these are the subjects. So photo A being cairns. Okay, so Miranda's voting for the cairns. Anybody else? Any other waterfalls? Kara says waterfalls. Let me see. How do I add Deborah? There's the waterfalls. Braden, I think the shading on the stones will be very interesting, not to mention the depth provided with the river in the background. Okay. Braden. So 2 votes for the waterfall, or no, 1 vote for the waterfalls. Braden and Miranda say the. Yeah, Miranda, I think they're spelled C-A-I. I think, whoops, it's C-A-I-R-N-S, I think. Yeah. Oh, weird. Now Facebook. So so this is really weird, y'all. When I comment on Facebook, it shows up in my software, but when y'all comment on Facebook, it's not showing up in my software. That's bizarre. But I'm seeing the YouTube, I'm seeing Twitter. Okay. Last votes. Any other choices? Again, for those of you joining, we're picking the subject of tonight's painting. So let me. Okay, that won't work. Oh, maybe it's photo A. Yes, Cairns. Perfect. Okay, I think then Cairns it is 2-1. 2-1. Everybody else who's watching is being quiet, which is fine. Okay, so let's take the waterfalls. They will be for another time. Bye-bye, Spearfish Falls. It's beautiful. If you ever get to the Black Hills, you kind of got to go behind this restaurant and hike down the hill, but it's a very easy hike if you're in the Black Hills and with people who don't want to do an aggressive hike, but it's a beautiful place. Definitely check it out. Okay, so Cairns it is. Then I am going to switch over and I'm gonna drag this cairns. So what's also interesting about cairns is typically, a friend of mine told me that typically these are built for a remembrance of someone who's passed or honoring in honor of someone. And so I think it's really cool that obviously this is the choice, and we are, as a nation, honoring the passing of Ruth Bader Ginsburg. So this is super appropriate. All right, so let me turn on the other cairn. All right, A, B, C, and D across your screen. Do y'all have any opinion or vote on which of these cairns you like best? I'm just going to use them for reference anyway, but if there's one that you like as kind of a model, A, B, C, and D. A. Miranda says A. The one where you see the river in the background. Yep, has the water. Cool. And it's kind of constructed really cool, isn't it? It's like it has the big fat rock at the bottom and then kind of goes up and almost like a steeple or something. All right. So let me, while we're doing this. So most of my painting I've been doing on these, oops, you can't see that. These little tablet canvases. They're like, whoops, super, I'll get this eventually, super thin. They're just like a kind of board canvas, probably for students and probably not necessarily for, let's see, not necessarily for, yeah, Braden says A as well. Okay, A it is. All right, I'll get rid of the other ones so y'all can see more. So I've been using these canvases. This is obviously, you can see, like, I think they're 5x7 maybe, or 6x9. So they're pretty small. If you've seen some of the pictures that I've posted previously, the paintings I've done, they sometimes look larger than they are, but this this easel is pretty small. But then look how large the canvas is compared to the easel. So it's I'm learning to paint small before I paint larger canvases, mostly just because painting larger canvases, you have to store them unless you want to throw the paintings away or paint over them. And I haven't got to I've done probably 12 paintings so far since April. And so I haven't got to the point where I want to start pitching canvases, but it's easier to throw away or reuse this small one than the large one. So, all right, good deal. So we will do A. We will say A is our thing, and I am going to make it larger on the screen here, as large as I can, because usually I use my phone as a reference. I'm going to have to, I think, start maybe, okay, I'm going to do brown, black. I'm probably going to have to start printing off the photos or figuring out another way to reference them. Right now, I'm looking at it on the screen like you all are. So, okay. Welcome, welcome. I see people popping in. My goal with this, because obviously, like, a painting can take a long time to paint, and I'm still learning, so it takes a while. So feel free to pop in and out, kind of open house style. Stop in and say hi, and then pop in and out to see how it progresses through the evening. So, gonna get hydrated, grab yourself a drink or a snack, and let me move my shoes and move my little computer. Okay. All right, hold on, everybody. It's probably gonna get rocky for a minute. I'm gonna move the tripod. Okay. Oh, yeah, it's rocky. Okay. I'm hoping you all will be able to, let me move this. You'll be able to see better is the goal. Let me move this right up in my business. Okay. Hopefully, and I am left-hand dominant, so that will allow me to paint, and hopefully you'll be able to look over my shoulder fairly easily. Okay. Thanks, Miranda. Oh, you got my side of my face, my facial hair. So it's funny, one of my students, we're masked all the time at school, and I went to take a drink sideways and I pulled down my mask, and one of my students is like, oh, you have facial hair. You're so old. She thought I was 20 or something, because all she saw was from here up. Okay. So, thank you, Miranda. I've been struggling kind of because I really enjoy this, but I'm also social and I enjoy live streaming. And so I want to figure this out. And I was trying to figure out how to do it without investing a lot in more equipment. So this is it, because I like live streaming and I also like painting, but I don't like editing. So this is the way to do it. Okay, so with the cairns, also if you're painting for a palette, I found palettes can be really expensive, but I found this plate at Walmart, and it's got kind of a beveled edge that's maybe an inch deep, so it kind of holds the paint for, I think it was $1.98. So great way to find a cheap palette. And of course you can just pop it in the dishwasher, or I just clean mine and cleans the paint right off. So little pro tip, although I don't know that it's pro, but it's a cheap tip if you want to get into painting inexpensively. So with the cairn, probably what we need to do is block in some sky, block in, if we're going to try to do this picture, the trees in the distance, the river, and then kind of the stones below. But I think what I want to do, and this is where the learning comes, I don't know the proper way to do this, or if there's a proper way, so I just kind of wing it, and I'm learning every time. So it looks like our the river line is probably about 2/3 of the way up. Hey, Phil and Amy. Is that Phil or Amy? I'm not great at, I tend to do better at drawing. Yeah, I'm not great at it either. I'm using YouTube to teach me. So let's say this is our river line, and the cairn will be over here. So this will give us, and then the trees, if we have the river and the trees, and this will be trees here, and there's a second kind of wave of trees that goes kind of like this, and that's sky. Okay, so we have roughly the, thanks so much. Thanks for popping in and saying hi. It makes it more fun, I think. I usually am just painting here by myself, so which I enjoy, but I love chatting with y'all too, catching up with people. Okay, so we need to place the cairn. It goes right, like the top of the cairn, it sits right about here, right? Maybe 1/3 of the way into the painting. So the cairn is kind of like right in here somewhere. Okay. At least that's my rough estimate. Oh, it's probably actually a little not quite there. Yeah, this is going to be a real challenge because the colors of these stones are very similar to the color of these stones. So that's going to be a real challenge. Actually, I'm looking at the photo, and there's kind of there's kind of a larger stone over in here, and some other stones this way. The challenge I've found with doing pictures that are taken on my phone like this is they're more narrow than the canvas. So I have to plan for that. There's kind of a log or something right here. Oh no, Those are just my bad eyes. There's just stones. Okay, well that's good. Doesn't matter then. Let's just take that out. Okay. So I like the composition of the original photo pretty well. So what I think I want to do is drop in color here. That's going to be the easiest color. So we'll take a little titanium white and a little ultramarine blue. I think that's going to give us the blue we want in the sky, because it's really undersaturated in the sky. Like, it's not. I'm going to put a little. We'll see. There's not a lot of color because I was exposing to the cairn. So let's see. Welcome, welcome. And y'all feel free to ask questions or chat with me as you have been. Let me know what's going on. So this is kind of what I have. I have some yellow or some white and some blue, ultramarine blue and a primary blue. Let me do this. Let me go and see if I can do this standing up. Actually, you know what? Oh my gosh, I forgot. I'm a little giddy. Okay. I actually have this camera on a tripod that I can adjust. So if y'all will bear with me, I will tilt this down. You can see me kind of blend the colors. All right. Cool. So we'll take some white and a little of the blue. Look how dark that is. So we need to really desaturate it. That's still too dark probably for the sky. Let's take some more white, bring it over here. Okay, let's see. So we're gonna lay in just a strip of color there. All right, bring you back up. Hold on to your stomachs, everyone. Okay, here we go. So we're gonna just lay in the color, that really light blue here. As we come down to the trees, just cover the canvas a little. I should be doing this with a larger brush, but that's all right. I found this brush. A lot of the paintings I was doing at the beginning of my journey, I was watching tutorials with these people that were painting on giant, like, well, not giant, but like 12 by 24, or, 18 by 20 or whatever canvases. And so they're using like brushes like this and like this, which are like 1 or 2 inch brushes. But if I bring that onto, that's one swipe of this canvas. So I realized I had to use smaller brushes, and it's amazing how that helped improve the results of my painting. However, I'm going to mix some more. Ooh, really dark. Bring in the white. Bring in the white. Come on. Desaturate. Okay. I'm going to bring in a bigger brush. Okay. There we go. Cover up that canvas. So nice. Lay in just some nice blue. Cover the canvas. There we go. All right. You probably can't hardly even see that. Amy or Phil, that is a, it's about, I think, maybe 6 by 9. It's just a tiny little thin, kind of like a cardboard canvas almost. I was telling everybody at the beginning, when I started, I've been painting on small canvases, usually like those 8 by 10 or 9 by 9 squares, just because I don't want to have my house full of paintings that are like student paintings. And I'll end up probably painting over a lot of these or tossing them as I'm learning. So this is a great way for me to be able to paint, you know, as I have probably 14 of them now. They're all on my mantle, but eventually I'll need to get rid of some of them or paint over them, and so that's why I'm using these as kind of just a student experience as I learn. Okay, so we have the blue of the sky of the picture. You can see the reference picture here. Let me see, make sure there's nothing I'm missing. Yeah, that blue is pretty unsaturated, so it's pretty light, and you probably can't hardly see that other than just that little line there, but it's kind of a purplish blue at the top. So next thing we want to do is lay in the trees. So let's do, we are going to mix some, I think we're going to do some, I often have, I've been using phthalo green and sap green for trees when I'm doing these kind of landscapes like this. So let's put some phthalo, which is kind of a darker, phthalo green is kind of, I don't know if y'all can see it, but it's that color. It's kind of a, I'll show you on the palette. And I'll put some sap here as well. We won't be doing much with green tonight. Last night I painted a picture. If you want to see, it's on my Instagram and Facebook. So there you can see. So this is the phthalo green, and this is the sap green. So the phthalo is just a little more blue tone, and this is a little more yellow tone. I'm also going to put some cadmium yellow out because we're going to use that for those stones as well. So I'll put some cadmium yellow and our good old standby burnt umber. See, I sound like I know what I'm doing, and I have no clue. All right, so that's the palette right now. Phthalo, sap, cadmium yellow, and burnt umber, and of course we have the white for desaturating. So what we want to do is mix a color that is desaturated because those trees are so far away. So I'm going to tilt you down so you can see my mixing. I don't know that that's terribly interesting, but you can kind of see what I do. So I think we're going to start with phthalo green to do, I think that's going to give us the first color. So this is, phthalo is going to give us that kind of Caribbean green, which is way too bright, of course, but let's see if we can pull a little burnt umber into that, see what happens. Okay, so we bring the burnt umber in and we get kind of a murky green. Okay, so this actually, I'm going to bring in some blue because it needs, it's so far away, those trees, that they're just, oh, that blue is, so this is almost, yeah, they're almost this grayish, I don't think you all can see this really, but it's almost like a grayish green. I think that's the hardest part, is getting colors right, but it's part of the funnest part too. Okay, we'll try it, because the trees below them are kind of there's a little more yellow, I think, there. So let's try. Let's see what we got. Okay. We're going to go back to the, hold on. I painted a koi fish on lily pads for my grandma's birthday last year. It turned out a little bit cartoonish instead of it. Oh, that's cool. Yeah, painting on wood is that's really challenging, but it's a lot of fun. Okay, so what I need is some water to make it. So I'm just gonna put the color in here. I think this is a good color actually. So I want to bring in this color. Yeah, so that the koi idea, the thing you were saying about like, and now I'm just kind of doing these dab kind of strokes because that texture, even though it's underneath, I think will be good because it's going to make it look like trees. Yeah, the cartoonish thing is that's a challenge, I think, for everybody, at least for me. Like, trying to get something that looks real is really challenging. But it's still fun. Where is... I need a filbert brush that is smaller than what I have, but I don't have it. Therefore, I'm going to make do. One of the things, there are people that paint photorealism. I just learned that term today, actually. And I really like I wish I could paint that way. Because what I'm trying to do is develop my skills a little bit. Oops, I'm lifting paint right off the canvas, which is not what I want to do. So we're going to put paint on the canvas. And I'm going to pay attention to what I'm doing. So we're going to put paint on the canvas. And then what I'm going to do is my secret. Hold on, everybody. We're going to... Okay, we'll dry that out. Yes, please do send me the picture of the koi. I'd love to see it. But yeah, photorealism, it's what I'm wanting to do is develop my skills across a variety of mediums, or not mediums, but a variety of styles, and try different things, and then eventually kind of find my way or my place. So that's kind of my intent. So here's the deal, y'all, with acrylic paint. So oils dry very, very slowly over months in some cases. Acrylic dries very quickly, but in that case, I wanted it to dry more quickly so I could put some additional layers on because I was pulling the paint off of the canvas. So what I'm going to do here is just go in and put some of this texture in with the same color that I was using or that I mixed earlier, and just give the kind of hopefully the suggestion of trees in that distant background, because they just kind of pop up over the edge of the tree line there. So we'll just kind of pop them in and we'll mix some more. But that's one of the things I've had to get used to with painting in acrylics is the rapid drying, which is great, but it's great because you can keep painting quickly. You don't have to wait too long, but it can also be difficult. Like literally my paint was already drying on my palette. And so, and you can get mediums to slow the painting, but okay, this has a little more brown in it, but one other thing I've learned that is helpful is that you can solve a lot of problems by adding layers. Different layers of different colors. Okay. So that will give, what I want to do is come back with my smaller brush, fill that up, and do, so there's kind of some, I want to do some smaller trees, like smaller, along the top line of this distant tree line, just so it looks more like the reference photo, and it suggests that there's, and this is a small pointed brush. I don't know, my camera's not wanting to focus on that. Whoops. Whoa. Anyway, I don't know if it will. Maybe if I do that. Yeah. Okay, so you can see, and this is small, like next to my fingernail. It's short, but it gives kind of the tips of, it gives the suggestions of trees with tips using the tip of this brush. It will give the suggestion of kind of individual trees out there on the distance. So hopefully it will be fairly, all right, so this is pretty green. I'm not exactly happy with it compared to the, these are, the brand is Zen. I don't know if you can read that. But this one is, and I just got them at Michael's, and they're kind of, I think they're mid-tier Royal and Long Nickel is the name, I think. Whoops. And I've been happy with them so far. Like, I don't honestly know, like, I have some really, 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 like, Artist Loft, you know, cheapo brushes that are okay for what, but I don't really know what I'm doing yet, so I'm not investing a lot in brushes or that kind of thing until I actually know why I would spend more. So that's what I've done so far, just kind of off the shelf. Eventually I'll probably spend a little more. So this is a little more green, I think, and more saturated than I want. I probably want it more blue, but I think it's okay for now. What we can do is now we can lay in the other layer of green, the second kind of tree line there that's further down the mountain. And that's almost like a, it's kind of got some yellow tint to it and highlights from the sunlight that's, or the sun that's kind of setting there. So let me try to mix something, see if we can mix something that is good for that. I appreciate those of you who are sticking with me. It's nice to not just be talking to myself. My goal is to do these at least once a week if people like it, and I'm thinking more just like kind of open house style, so people can stop in, say hi, and then come back in 20 minutes and see where I am. Or if you want to sit and watch my process, you can do that as well. So, all right. So we have this, it's actually, I think, going to be a darker, yeah, it's going to be darker, so I went and mixed and added a little yellow. See how this is a little more yellow tone and brown tone? Um, and I think actually, well, it may work actually. I'm going to lay in this additional layer of trees, the color for the second line of trees. Because they have kind of a more yellow base. That gives us the appearance of that separation. But what I want to do then is there's kind of that line of shadows that's, I wish I had a pointer or I could point on there. So there's that line of shadows that goes under at where the highlights of the trees stick up. So I'm going to bring in a little yellow, a little more yellow here. And let me see if I can do this again, because it worked. Well, maybe this filbert brush I'm using is almost too big. I thought I had a smaller filbert. I think I'm going to have to get a smaller filbert, but here's one that is a flat brush that's smaller. I'm going to try that. Let me get it really nice and wet. And I'm bringing in the yellow. What I'm going to try to do is on the top, just dab some color there. And it's not even really different, is it? Let's bring in more yellow. My paint's drying already on me. Give this texture. Soften some of that, but keep that shadow line in there. As we go across. So it brings in some more texture. But then there's that shadow. And then what we'll be able to do once this dries is go in and add highlights. So you can kind of see the two layers of trees. And I'm not going to worry about really. What I want to do is come in with the, really need a almost a dark, let me bring in, I think I can do this with using all the brushes tonight. Oh, I have a good one, this angle brush, which I think I can use to, what I want to do is do a pretty definitive line there where the river is. And if you'll notice, it's kind of a dark, like pretty, like dark green. It's almost black. In fact, I may take just a smidge of black and mix it in. Black is so strong that we don't want to do too much of it. But I want kind of a, actually, there's this, want to do a, oh, that's not even dark enough. Okay, so I mixed the green we had with a little burnt umber and a little black. And I want to do kind of that line of shadows there at the tree line right above the river. This may be too dark, but we'll see. Okay. That's what it is about, learning as we go. Okay. What I want to do is then, oops, I don't want to take that paint off. It's too dry, but I want to blend some of that in to the green. I don't want, this is okay. We're taking some of that color off. That's what happens. It's even worse when you're working with oils. Oils will come right off back onto your brush. Okay, so we want to blend this up a little bit from the dark so that there's some of that color in the trees, and then it's not as definitive a line between each level. But we want a definite line there where the river is. Okay. So let me mix in some more. Oh, that's okay. Actually, again, remember what I said about colors. You can do amazing things by mixing colors, adding layers of colors, but that's pretty far away. So don't want to spend a lot of time on that. Yeah, Bob Ross does make it look really easy. Of course, he had about, 6 or 8 main subjects that he painted: mountains, trees, rivers, mountains, trees, rivers. And typically he would paint the same things over and over, which is good. I mean, that was his thing, and he did it well, better than most. So, but yeah, he does make it look super easy. The funny thing is, one thing I've learned, I'm going to pull you up so I can talk. I feel weird not like looking at you guys in the face, but one of the things that I've learned, that I am learning, is everybody will look at how I've progressed and they say, oh, you have so much talent, or you're improving so quickly. What I found is, yes, I do have a little talent or a little bit of an eye as far as composition maybe, but actually I think the greater skill is the critical thinking and kind of figuring out the puzzle of it, like figuring out which colors, create what feelings on the canvas, and or not feelings, but what suggestions, how adding different highlights can make things look like a certain thing. Because when I started paying attention, like yesterday, I was driving down to the school where I work, and there was fog across the hills, and it's kind of in the hills in Hot Springs, Arkansas. And I was thinking, okay, how would I paint that? Like, fog is a hard thing to paint because you have the hills or the mountains and the trees behind it, but the fog desaturates the color, but you still have to see your eye still sees the actual tree. And so it's really, in nature, we look at it and we know, oh, the fog is in front of the tree. But if I were painting it, I was thinking, well, maybe I would actually lay in the fog color and do a desaturated color of the trees, the desaturated green, and then just do suggestions of the trees so that it looks like the trees are showing through the fog. And so the layering of how you lay the different subjects on the canvas is interesting to me. And figuring out, yesterday I was painting water, and I was trying to figure out, like, one of the things I really like to get good at is how you can paint surface of the water and see things underneath. Because when you look at water, we see the reflection of whatever's above the water, we see the water flowing, we see the rocks and branches and things underneath the water, and that's a fairly complex thing to paint. So that's kind of what goes on in my head. But thanks, Peggy. Thanks for stopping in and saying hi. I appreciate it. I love watching what Shelly's doing. She's doing I mean, her skill, like, I wish we lived in the same city and we could paint together, because I would learn so much from her. She's amazing. Um, but yeah, the painting is really about critical thinking and analysis and being able to figure out the puzzle, at least in my experience. That can really help you to move forward very quickly. And then I watch a lot of tutorials, but I watch specifically not so much what they're teaching or what they're saying, but what they're doing and why they're making certain choices. And I'm always like analyzing that in my head. And that, I think, helps me to accelerate my growth and my learning. And it's kind of fun because my brain works that way. So, all right, that's my side spiel. So let's get back to the main show. That's what y'all are here for. Okay. Yeah, it's so strange. My Facebook comments aren't coming through on my broadcast software. Okay, so we have the trees laid in, and now the river. Oh, so the river is kind of this silver, kind of a silver blue, isn't it? So let's look at, can we take a little white and a little blue? Let's see. I'm going to show you all my palette so you can see kind of what I'm doing. And this is a work in progress because I really don't know. I should study more, like specific colors, like so that I could make things more quickly and more accurately. This is way too blue, of course. Let's add a little green and see. That brings it to green. Let's take that was the sap green. This is the phthalo green. It's really a gray though. So let me bring in tad brown, maybe. The brown brings in a yellow tint though. I really think it's, ooh, the black is so strong. That's really not what I want because it's way too, see, the black just muddies everything. But if you notice with the blue, look what's happening. Happy accident. Bob Ross would say, happy trees, happy trees. Happy accident. Look at this beautiful kind of color we're getting, this gray color here. If we desaturate it just a tad, I think we can get closer to what's on the river. Maybe. That line right under the trees. Let's try it. Let's try it and see what it looks like. Sometimes I think if I buy another one of these plates that I mentioned I'm using as a palette, I think I'm going to get one that is like a brown or a color, maybe a gray, because it does on white, like it messes up your perception of color. So, all right, let me try this. Let's lay that on. So we will mix that. Let's go back here. Hey Sky, yes, it is so much fun. I am in the same boat. Like, look at how much is on my palette. All that green, a lot of that blue is going to go to waste. These are going to be, but yeah, I'm the same way. Though. So let's primary input device change to, okay, I still see a green. I just got a notice on my computer that the primary input device for my audio changed, but I'm still getting a green line for my audio, so I think y'all are still hearing me. Okay. Just a second. Oh, cool. You can send it Yeah, sorry, I'm having a side conversation. I don't want to tell my phone number online, although most of you here know my number. Here's my cell, or you can send it in Messenger. Cool, Braden, thanks. Yeah, I'll post it to Instagram. Thanks for stopping by. Okay. So, sorry, y'all. I am one of my students said he had to go, so not my student, but is a student I'm working with. I'm the sponsor of the Beta Club at my school, so he and I are working on that. Okay, so let's lay in the gray here in the river, down by the river. Yes, I like this color, so we're gonna keep mixing that, and we'll bring this forward to where the cairn is. Actually, we should go over the cairn. Okay. Mix this some more. Ooh. Yeah, dark, which is not a bad thing. At first, when I started painting, I would freak out when I would do something like that and it would hit the canvas and it was dark. But what I found was you can create all kinds of feelings or appearances of highlights when you do something like that. So because nature is not just, it's not just gray that's in this river. There's all kinds of other things going on in the river. There's this lighter color in here, and then there's some darker colors in the middle. And again, we need to give the perception that it's as real as possible. Okay. I know this is taking a ton of time, but getting the basic colors right is really important from my perspective. Because once they're wrong, it's really hard to correct them. All right. I'm watching the live stream on Facebook so that I can watch the comments that come in on Facebook. Also, okay. Alrighty. Yeah, because my comments aren't coming in on Facebook. Okay, so we have this lighter color. There's some also like darker kind of greenish gray that's down further in the river. So there's kind of almost this gray. Oh, did my phone go out? Oh, there it comes back. Sorry, I think my thing is glitchy. My phone. Oh no. Hopefully it won't keep dying on me. If I disappear, I'm sorry. Okay, so there's kind of this gray, almost like a in the middle here, it's maybe even a greenish, almost like a greenish color. Wondering if I can just because this is good for the color of the highlight where the sun is shining. kind of these different colors in the river. Okay, I'll work on that later as we come in. What I do want to do is take the same approach with, because right along here there's kind of stones, and so I want to take little brown, mix it with black. Light. Okay. There's kind of some stones that are right there on the river. I want to kind of put some of those figures in. Just a suggestion of little in the distance, that there's kind of these stones there. And I'm just dabbing the brush. Hey, Matthew. I've seen all your traveling up in Wisconsin, Michigan. I'm jealous. It's beautiful this time of year up there off Lake Superior. We used to go up to Door County in Wisconsin off Green Bay and along the river, or along the lakes. It was nostalgic when I was seeing all your photos. I wish I could, when people come in and say hi, I wish I can respond to them, but I wish my software was working correctly so I could bring those comments on the screen for y'all, because it's not fair that I'm responding to people you aren't seeing their comments. But my friend Matthew just popped in and said hello, and he was glad to catch part of this. That's the intent, Matthew, is that people can pop in and pop out, because this is obviously longer than most people want to just sit and watch me paint and yammer. So, all right, so let's, and then we gave the suggestion of these things along there, and we'll just blend this in. I don't know if this is good or not, but I'm going to do it. And there we go. You can always blend down. Okay, so we have this. What I want to do now is lay in the rest of the canvas. I want to cover the rest of the canvas with color. So I want to mix a kind of a light brown and just cover everything that is going to be stone, because then you can go in with shadows and highlights and make the other stones. So I'm going to mix that. I'm going to tilt y'all so you can watch what I'm doing here a little bit. Eventually what I want to do is have a camera that is over my workstation and then one from the side, so I can switch back and forth. And y'all can really see easily what's going on. But that's probably going to require some working more than, like this afternoon, I just kind of put this workstation together and was like, oh, let me try this. Because I wanted to see if anybody had any interest in watching me explain or show how the sausage is made. Okay, so this brown is a really, it doesn't look so much like on your screen, but it's a reddish brown. It's a little, well, it actually might be really good because those stones, it's a little dark maybe. Those stones on the rest of this are pretty light, and they have a lot of reddish hue in them. So the burnt umber with the white is really giving me a nice, there is a nice, well, there we go. This is a really nice kind of tan. Okay, here we go back. Okay, so let's just lay in this color. Just to cover the canvas. And it doesn't really matter like how this is laid in. So, okay. I'm just kind of using broad strokes and swivel kind of figure 8 strokes so that, because a lot of that texture I'll be able to use because this is all stones underneath here. So the difference in color and brush strokes will be good. And it's darker. I obviously don't, well, not obviously, but I don't have any like white lights on. Like this is just my yellow overhead light in this room. So what I am seeing and what you are seeing is not exactly true to color. So you're seeing this as kind of a really light tan, but it's actually a really more, it's much more brown in real life. So, and once this is done, I will post this on Instagram so you'll be able to see a little better, in better lighting. I'll post pictures so you can kind of see once it's done. But okay. Thank you to the 3 of you that are still on and or that have come in, and feel free to ask questions or chat away. Okay. Alrighty, so we have this laid in. Now we need to start laying in some of the, when I look at the subject or the reference, there is a section of kind of shadows that go across the back side of this that are kind of a muted gray brown. So I'm going to introduce just a little bit of black into the brown I already used. And then I'm going to go in and kind of lay some of this in. Now it looks really light, but again, it's darker. And this is kind of in this section. I think I'm laying this in too soon, but it doesn't really matter because mixing the paint at this stage is not a bad thing. And that shadow goes some in there. That shadow plane, it goes right up to the coastline of the river. Now I'm going to cover some of those rock suggestions up that we did before, and some will show through and it'll end up being just fine. Okay, so there's a little, right in here, there's some light that shines through, so I'll leave that. And then as we go down, there's some gray that comes in here, or kind of shadows come in there. So we'll lay that in. There's shadows all around the cairn. And again, because I took this on my phone, it's more narrow than the actual canvas, so I'm trying to take that into account when I lay. I'm having to kind of imagine what's out here, but there will be definitely some shadow, and then shadow over on this side of the cairn as well. A little shadow there. So, okay, so that kind of lays in some shadow. There's some light spots. That are a light spot actually right in there. It's a little more. So there's kind of a sand or something over here. We can go in and highlight that later with some, there's actually some yellow, I think, in there. But I just want to get the composition right. Some lighter spots down in here, right around the cairn. Take out some of those solid edges, blend some of that in. Okay. Again, this is just the undercoat, and then we'll come in with and try to lay in some detail. Okay. That looks good to me. So, at least for now. Now I want to start putting in the foundation of the cairn, which is that's going to be the probably the hardest part, because that's where we start making some real decisions as far as so let me take this that I already have on my canvas, kind of a brown, a little bit of black, burnt umber black, so it's kind of a grayish brown, and a tad white, and we'll just start laying in the framework of the cairn. Okay, so we have kind of a, I try not to, I don't want to be too precious about this, but so there's kind of a stone there, stone on top of it. It's kind of behind the cairn, and then the larger cairn stone is kind of there, right? And then there's a flat stone in the middle, and some more stones. Another one is like that. There. I'm changing as I go because I think I started too small. Because it needs to go all the way to the top there. So there's a couple of flat stones. Yeah. That's the problem, because my eye wants to look at like just 2/3 of this as the reference. I'm trying to paint too literally. So I'm going to have to kind of, this should actually be scooted over a little here. So, but we can fix that. So, all right, so we have kind of the rough, then I want to go in and put, there's a stone, like, it's actually closer, but right in there, we'll call those, we'll make it a little bigger. And then there's a stone there and one kind of off the canvas, but we have more canvas, so we can play with that. And then there's some stones in here, some larger stones. And then some along there. Okay. Now, the challenge. Well, this is all a challenge. I said at the beginning that I'm going to come and talk to y'all a little bit. So I said at the beginning that the challenge for me for this painting is that the colors of the stones are so similar, and it's all these shades of different browns and reds and yellows, but it's all within that brown family, that mixing those and making it look somewhat realistic is going to be a challenge, and that's why I wanted to do it, because I want to get better at it. So we're kind of at that stage of the game now where it doesn't look very realistic, and now we have to start making those decisions, which always makes me nervous because I don't yet have the skill just to know and say, okay, that's what I should do. So I find that it helps me to step back from the painting. There's a couple things I've learned, though. Number one, step back from the painting. About 6 feet. I have about 6 feet off camera that I can step back and look at. The other thing is that I think a lot of painters, especially new painters like myself, struggle with is painting what you see versus what you think your eye should see. It's really easy to get into the painting like I did, and I put this whole stack in here and realized, oh, it should actually be over a ways, or it should be a different shape. And so learning to adjust to that and learning to look and really observe what is my eye seeing and how do I recreate that, that's the challenge, or that is a challenge. So this is where we are for this painting. So let's start working a little bit of the detail. What I think is going to be the best way to do this is probably to create some highlight tones and start to highlight different spots in this kind of rough stack, and that will start to give us some form to the different rocks. And then once we have those the way we want them, we can also come in with shadows or darker spots on the stones, and that will help give us shape as well. That's the challenge. So let's try that. Although starting to get warm in here, even without production lights, so I'm going to turn on my fan. Hopefully it won't make too much noise. Give me just a second. Whoops. Okay. I'm back. Okay, let me turn y'all back to face the camera a little bit, or to the painting. And I'm going to, typically I will have my phone sitting right here with the reference photo so that I can look at both of them and step back and do this. But the reference photo that I have is on the computer here where I'm watching the same place as y'all are. And so that's because I'm using my phone to as a camera feed. So enough. Can you tell I'm procrastinating because I don't know exactly what I'm doing? Okay, but we're going to make some choices. So I have some very, at the top, very light, sunshiny spots that are like, you just can't tell what they are. So I'm going to put those in. So we're going to start there. Sunshine. And then I'm going to start just drawing in some highlight spots on the cairn. Here we go. If you hear that squeaking, it's not my knees. That would be my crazy fan. But in the South, we love our fans, meaning our ceiling fans, because it was 80 degrees still today. All right. Let's see. I wish there was a way I could zoom. Well, I wonder. Let me try something, y'all. Ah, the phone works. Look at that. Okay. Sorry, maybe I should have done that the whole time. There we go. All right, so you see a little, although it's, now I gotta adjust. Let me turn my camera. There. Sorry. Okay. So you... So as I do this, you'll be able to see a little bit more of the detail that I'm adding in. Hey there, Chase. Thanks for popping in. It's been forever. My friend Chase just joined us. Ladies and gents, there's a few stalwart souls that have stayed on for this rambling exercise in my education as a painter. Okay, so there's that rock that's kind of really bright, and it kind of is a, we're gonna lay that in pretty clearly there. It's kind of rounded there. Okay, and then there's some additional highlights like down in here, but they're not as bright. Although these ones down here are much more bright. Move my cursor. That's the other challenge that I haven't quite mastered. Some people are really good at stones, like mountains and rocks, but like real it, like make it look real. And I'm still kind of figuring out how to do that. The other challenge, again, is this canvas is wider than the original photo or the reference photo, so at some point I won't be able to go as literally to the photo, but I'm trying to kind of give some idea. Okay, and there's kind of this large stone that's really okay. Kind of rough idea. All right, now, oops, we went blurry. Oh, it keeps going, doesn't, and maybe it's trying to let me, oh, that's because my alarm was going off. Okay, so, oops, sorry y'all. There we go. That way you can kind of see better. Okay, so now I need to do some darker, choose some darker tones. Let's choose a really dark, like brown. So I'm going to take my burnt umber. Actually, I wonder if there's other browns I have. Let me look. Burnt umber, nope. And burnt sienna, that might be a good one. That's more a red brown. Oh yeah, that's going to be good. Maybe. Actually, oops, I always do that. Too much paint. But I want to take a kind of black brown almost. And make some, ooh, this is a nice dark. I don't know if y'all can see, whoops, that color, but it's almost black. I want to take that in. We're going to make some real choices. Okay, so let's cut in and do there. Okay. Okay. Sorry, I'm just stepping off camera to step back and really look at what I've done. And I'm making a rookie mistake, I'm realizing. People do this when they paint trees and other things where it's real easy to just go, which I did with this. It's like a pyramid almost, which I can still address, but it's easy to just go back and forth, back and forth. So it's almost like I did light, dark, light, dark, light, dark, light, dark, light, dark, all the way. But in this case, I can take different shades and work magic with different shades of kind of the. But I want to go over here and do a little some shadows on these rocks. It'll start to give them some form. Then I'll come in and highlight them too. These kind of boulders that are back there. Also, along the river, there's kind of some dark spots back in there that are just suggestions. They're not, you can't really tell the shape of the stones, but there's definitely some dark spots. Okay. I can put this one up. Thanks for joining. I should teach our co-teacher in addition to entrepreneurship. Thanks, dude. So Yug is one of my students that was in my capstone class last year. He's a senior at my school. Your kind words are appreciated. However, I think Sarah and Mr. Rayford are fully capable, and I don't know that I have much to add to this since I'm actually a student. I should take their capstone. Okay. Just a second, y'all. Whoops. I think I froze up on ya. You can see my greasy face sweating in front of you until it comes back. Oh. Let me try something, y'all. I'm sorry about that. Let me see if that unfreezes at least those of you on YouTube or on Facebook. I think it froze up. Sorry. I don't know how to unfreeze it. Let me reload Facebook and see if it is better. Okay. Y'all can jump over to YouTube if you want. That might be better because it looks like YouTube is not frozen up, but I'm not sure. Okay, I'm going to keep going though. Let's see. All right. Let me do some more mixing. Okay. Now I have a little bit taking some lighter shades. Yeah, this is it's annoying, but it's so warm in here if I don't have a fan on that the struggle is difficult. Let's see. I'm a little off the rails here because it's so, like, I just don't know what I'm doing. going to step back a little bit. It's kind of a leaning thing. This needs to actually come out a little ways. To take some dark brown in again. Come in. This guy. Almost like a okay. Let's see. More brown. This, I wonder if I can do underneath this is kind of a dark spot. Okay. This is the part that's not so fun for you all to watch, because it's mostly me just thinking to myself. And I know this is the part that's frustrating, because I know as I do this, like eventually I'll get better at it where I'll be able to do it faster, but it just, yeah, I'm just not there yet. And so that is frustrating, because I'm one of those people that wants to be good at everything quick. But the whole point of picking up painting during the quarantine for me was to do something creative that I wasn't very good at and that I didn't have to be perfect at, which you can see I'm just not. I mix paints and I try things and I see what will work and what doesn't. Ooh, this is really yellow. But that's how I learn, and you do it over and over, and all of a sudden you're like, oh, I know exactly what I need to do. So that's kind of my hope. In here is kind of a sandy area, so we'll plug that in just because All right. I'm struggling with um, what I said earlier, that is a fault of many novice painters, which is I'm trying to paint what I think is there as opposed to what's actually there, because I'm not sure. Thanks, Yug. Have a good one. Yug is taken off. But I'm not sure how to get what I see on the screen on canvas. But what I have found is one thing at a time. If I can take one thing and break it down. So I just saw that there is this rock right here, literally rock by rock, that is almost like an arrow. It's very sharp and it's very dark. And so I'm going to color that in. And there's kind of above it, shadow of different rocks. So maybe that'll give us a little separation. There. There's this white one. This is almost a grayish brown. Hey there, welcome to those that are joining. I see a couple more people come in. If you are following my journey of painting, welcome, welcome. If you're not, welcome, welcome. Let me pop in and say hi. Whoop. Sorry, need to zoom out. Okay, there we are. Hey, welcome to everybody. If you've just joined us, I am in the middle or like well into a painting of a cairn that I took along the river here in central Arkansas, along the Arkansas River. Somebody had built this cairn on the side of the road, and the group earlier this evening voted on this as the subject of the painting tonight. So we're doing a cairn, which I thought was appropriate because as a nation, we are honoring the legacy and service of Ruth Bader Ginsburg and her passing. And a cairn typically is built as a place of memorial or a place of commemorating somebody or something that was done. At least that's what I've been told. So that's what I'm working on. Glad you've joined, and feel free to chat in the comments. I'm trying to engage with y'all. Pop in and out. It's very much kind of open house style, and so you can take a look at what I'm doing, pop out and pop back in. And that's kind of what we're doing tonight. Alrighty, so let's go back to the painting. and I'll zoom back in so you can kind of see. So y'all, before I do that, I'll kind of pull the camera over here, and maybe I can't wait till I can have camera over my workspace. But you can see from a distance, we're starting to get, at a distance, it looks, even with little definition, looks pretty good. So let me zoom in so y'all can see what I'm doing, and then I'm trying to frame it well for y'all. So, whoops. Okay. Might have to zoom out just a little bit so you can kind of see. Okay. All right, that's good, I think. Okay. So I'm going in and trying to add highlights and lowlights, and the challenge of this painting for me as a new painter is really this process, because there are so many similar colors in this field of browns and reddish browns and yellow browns and white browns that it really is a big challenge for me to paint what I see. So that's what we're focusing on right this minute. So what I want to do is this down here, this highlight is excuse me, I think way too bright. Need to tone it down. So I'm going to try to mix some different colors. That's not working. Nope. Trying something. That is not working either. Okay. Go back to what the basic that you don't know, Mr. Steve. Okay. Yes, I'm to that point in the evening where I'm talking to myself, y'all. So I appreciate those of you that are indulging me. So brown, I need a kind of I've done more work in landscapes. I've done more work with blues and greens recently, like working. Oh, I didn't put my nifty. I am going to pause right here and scoop y'all, or oops, set, take a break, postpone. I forgot. I've been painting all evening and I didn't put on my nifty. The very first thing I should have done was put on my clothing protecting apron. I realized I was putting my hands on my clothing, and I mean, it is acrylic, so it'll come out, but let's try to keep it off the... So, how's that for a fashion statement, y'all? Military green, canvas, Apron. All right. Let's scroll in, or let's zoom in. Okay, enough playing around. I need to figure out what that brown is that is on this main rock. Okay, this is interesting. So, actually, this is really interesting. I don't know. I'll try to hold it up. So look at this, y'all. It's not true because this almost looks green in this light, but this color is a little bit of this ultramarine blue and burnt umber, but it's actually coming out like a good color for these shadows. Oh yeah, it looks really green on your screen. It is not green in person. I need better lighting and better cameras for y'all. We will work on that. Okay, so, but should be able to do some it should be good for shadows, I think. Oops, someone's driving by with loud music. I don't know if y'all can hear that. Okay. Because right on this rock is this part that's, and there's some shadow here. Yeah. Okay. Now what I want to do is figure out how to put some shadow there under that stone. I need to figure out how to create this a lighter brown that is more realist. It's almost like a grayish, isn't it? It's almost like a yellow. I don't know. Yellow. There's a yellow tint to it. It's so subtle, but it's there. I don't know if that's going to help or hinder. All right. I am really impressed, those of you that are sticking around. Thank you. Feel free to chime in. I feel like I'm not carrying the weight of my responsibility for the conversation this evening. Okay. Let me step back a minute and take a look. What I see. Sorry, I'm cutting in front of y'all. I'm looking at what you're looking at, actually. I should move my computer, actually. Maybe I can. Oh, that puts me even more in front of you. Okay. There we go. Okay. Let's see. Now this stone looks almost green, doesn't it? When it's actually more of a reddish color. See, this is what I go through. And I don't, like I said, I'm building that skill to be able to see and recreate colors more truly. Although I do see one area that is this greenish color. It's kind of right up here. It's that rock, I think. It's kind of there. And then there's this rock that has a what I did with my last painting, which you may have seen on Instagram, it was a forest scene and a brook that was just a few hours here outside of Little Rock. And I worked on that for a week or two to get it looking as good as I could. Sometimes I have to walk away from these things and then come back to them because I don't see, I need a new perspective. And sometimes coming back and then adding layers really helps. One thing I want to do, if I still have some of this, I had mixed a blue-green that was really actually nice. And I want to go back up here. This is fairly two-tone and really kind of blah. So I think I want to go back and add some color there. That may be a little bit Need just a little bit of brown to dull it down a little bit. Yeah. I'm just using dab brush strokes to create perception. And I said at the beginning that putting layers in these paintings is really helpful because you can put some like little suggestions of shadows into these places. And here, by painting over what was there, I've created unintentional but important highlights that make it look a lot, in the long run, will make it look a lot more realistic. And so you'll be able to see, I'm just putting a few select dabs just so there's the suggestion of those trees rising above the tree line, a few of them. Okay, so, and then we have some areas down in here that are more shadowed. So we can put some suggestions of shadow down into the lighter green area. Okay. Look at how, just for a couple seconds, for just a few seconds of work, like how much of a difference that makes with the realism of those. All those start to look like actual trees, and this natural highlight that's growing out, I don't actually have to go in there and highlight too much. I mean, I can, and I probably will, but this starts to do it for me. And then it gives that sense that it's all one forest and not just two strips of paint, which is how I applied it originally. Now, I want to take out any, blend in, take out any of those hard lines in between the two, right there. And I'll put, by doing that, I'll just put a little bit of highlight and take some of that paint back off. Okay, there we go. You can see what's happening there. Cool, cool. All right, we'll let that dry a little bit, and then I will probably come in and put some yellowish highlights at some point and some yellow, red, green highlights in, because that's there. You can see kind of where the sun is setting, and by putting those layers, actually, I have a color here. I wonder if this will work. It's a little too much. It's a little too green. So I'm going to dull it down a little bit. wonder, let's see. I wonder if I can just do some places, let's see. It's going to be real faint. There's a little bit where the light's just catching some trees there. I'm barely touching the canvas now. Just to lay these highlights in and bring this section of the painting forward toward the viewer. Okay. Yeah, I like that. Okay, I'm not going to go crazy. It's easy to go crazy, but I want it to be as realistic as possible. So I'm not going to. Okay. I think I'm going to go another 15 minutes, y'all. It's been 2.5 hours, and actually this isn't anywhere near done. But I'm going to do a little more and then give it a rest, and then come back to it in, a few days, or maybe, next week. I'm going to try to do this because this has been really fun. I'm going to try to do this every, if I can, like Friday or Saturday, because I think it would be just a lot of fun with y'all. If you want to join the fun, we will do that. And we'll see how it goes. I want to just do some, I'm not sure, y'all. I wish you all could give me, or maybe you can give me advice. I want to start laying some of these stones in, not definitively, but I want to find ways to do this so that it's as realistic as possible, but I don't know how to do that. Maybe just spots of color. Larger toward the front of the canvas and smaller as we go back. Less defined back here. I think it'll be mostly just these kind of dappled brush strokes back in the background. Wow, that quickly my paint has dried on my palette, y'all. Of course, there's a fan right above it, as you all have heard. Key is different brushes, maybe, and different colors. That introduces more kind of, it's actually burnt sienna, but more red into this than I want. But I think it actually gives the perception of the, now it doesn't look red at all on your screen, but on the actual painting it looks really red. So you can't really probably tell any difference from there, but it definitely does make a difference on this end. What I want is like really light tans. Like, I think it needs to add a little green to get some light tan that is not red. It's cooled down a little bit. That makes sense. Ooh, that makes it way too green. Nope, nope. I should do a exercise of just mixing various shades of brown with and creating various shades of brown. that would be particularly helpful. All right. One other thing before we end, maybe the last 5 minutes, that I want to do is go back to the river. And I want to lay in some white and some green, some blue, the ultramarine blue gives us a real great color for shadows in this river. It's basically gray with green and blue tints. And I think we need just a hint of black. Okay, so I want to go in here because in the reference you can see there's some, oh, that's really blue. So what we want to do is I want to bring in some, a little more brown. Tad black. And white to create more grayish color. This up it along the water line or the tree line. Oops, I just painted right over my cairn. Okay, so what this will do is give us some dark spots in the river. And then some places where the light really shines through. This part in here that was lighter. There we go. Okay. Now the river starts to look a little bit more realistic. And I notice that is about all the time that we have. I've kept you all, the 3 of you that are still on, thank you for staying with me. And what I will do is I will post on social media when I do this again. I feel like it's weird not to talk to you. So, there we are. Maybe. Ha. Come back. Camera. Did I turn off my screen? I think I did. Okay, sorry about that. This was fun for a first time, and I hope you enjoyed kind of seeing what I do. Not very exciting to sit for a long time, so I'm grateful for those of you that did or popped in and popped out. And I'll continue. I'm not going to do a lot on this painting until I come back to you all, but I will post this and then I'll post again when I'm going to do this, probably Friday or Saturday night this coming week. Weekend will be maybe try to plan consistently to do that. And hopefully you can see as I improve over time, you can see some of my the thought process. And if you have experience more than I would love those tips as well. But I appreciate you spending these 2.5 hours if you have, or if you popped in, I really appreciate you spending the time with me. So with that, I'll say good night, and I hope that you have a great rest of your weekend, and we'll see you soon.